The river lay silent under a curtain of mist, the air heavy with the smell of wet metal. Vladimir's boots creaked on the rotting dock as he peered into black water. Beneath, something vast shifted, swallowing the light. They called it the Chernobyl catfish born in radiation, tempered by hunger. It had dragged men screaming into the depths. Tonight, Vladimir had come to meet it face to face.
Rumors began decades ago. At first, hunters saw wild boar vanish mid-drink, yanked into the shallows. Then deer, then other catfish, torn apart and devoured. But the divers, they were different. Two men working beneath the reactor. Vladimir recalled finding photos deep, ragged grooves gouged into a metal boat's hull, as if clawed by some underwater giant. Fishermen spoke of a sudden shift in current, a pulse beneath the surface, the only warning before the strike. Once it grabs you, Stalker had said, his eyes hollow, you won't come back. It doesn't let go, ever. The words echoed now in Vladimir's mind. He had hunted pike, sturgeon, and monstrous northern carp. None of that prepared him. The smell of rot clung to the fog, as though the river exhaled death. The mist wrapped him in damp fingers. Then a ripple, not wind, not current. Something breathing. It was close, watching, waiting. Vladimir's hands tightened around the rod, knuckles pale, heartbeat hammering in his ears like a distant drum. The lure sank into blackness, vanishing from sight. The water pressed in, still and tense. Then tug, not frantic, not panicked. Slow, heavy, intelligent. The rod bent sharply, groaning under strain. A bulge rose in the river, and for a flash, Vladimir saw it. A pale, scarred head the size of a tire, sliding under again. The air felt colder now, as though the river itself shivered. Eyes glimmered faintly beneath the surface, like dying embers in a coal bed. The mouth opened vast, soft lips ringed with scars, then shut again in slow, tasting motions. It was smelling him through the water. This was no dumb fish. This was an apex predator, patient and aware. The stories had not lied, and Vladimir realized with the cold knot in his gut it was hunting him. The beast of the real shrieked as line peeled away in a blur. Then silence, not even a ripple. It was playing, testing, just like with the divers. Witnesses said it circled them, brushing their legs with its bulk before striking from below. The water would erupt red, bodies broken apart. No chance to scream, no time to escape. Only the river swallowing the evidence whole. The river erupted, a tail as thick as a tree trunk slammed the surface, drenching Vladimir in icy spray. His boat pitched violently. He caught a glimpse of the beast's flank scarred, with patches of pale, sickly flesh where radiation burns had eaten away its skin. It moved with terrifying grace, the slow confidence of something that feared nothing in its domain. The zone was its throne. In his mind, Vladimir replayed the diver's last moments. Gloved hands in murky green, a burst of motion from below, jaws clamping tight. The creature would twist like a crocodile, bones snapping under impossible force, flesh tearing in seconds. The river turned black with blood, silt rising like a cloud. By the time help came, there was nothing left but silence and dark water. Vladimir's grip ached, the muscles in his arms burned, then slack. For a moment, he dared hope. He reeled. The water seemed calm. Then came the violent jerk, so fierce it wrenched the rod from his hands. He lunged, catching it midair, but the force was unstoppable. He stumbled, boot sole scraping on slick planks, feeling the pull of something far stronger than he was. The rod snapped with a sharp crack. The catfish surfaced, jaws yawning wide enough to swallow him whole. Inside were rows of backward hooked teeth, perfect for holding prey. As it was dragged down alive, water cascaded from its gills in thick sheets. Vladimir staggered back. The head alone could crush a chest. It slid under again, leaving only widening ripples on the glassy water. A metallic glint caught his eye. Trapped between its teeth was the jagged remains of a diver's mask, wedged like a grotesque trophy. Bile rose in Vladimir's throat. This wasn't mutation alone, it was evolution. The zone had birthed an intelligent predator, one that had learned the taste of human flesh. And once a beast learns that taste, it never hungers for anything else again. The river stilled, eerie and perfect, yet deep beneath, The catfish floated in the current, waiting. Vladimir's breath came shallow, ears straining in the silence. A groan from shifting ice cracked the air. The predator knew he was there, and he knew it wasn't finished. Every nerve in his body screamed to leave, but something kept him rooted on that rotting dock. A shadow passed beneath the dock. Then came the impact. The supports shuddered, wood splintering under a colossal blow. Vladimir fell to his knees, boots skidding on wet planks. Another strike. The tail smashed again, sending his tackle box flying into the river. The splash rang in his ears, followed by a slow, deliberate swirl of water as the beast sank from view. Its eyes broke the surface for a heartbeat, cold, reflective, unblinking. They locked on him, and for a moment he swore they looked human. Then they sank away, leaving only bubbles spiraling upward. It was an invitation, a taunt, a promise that the game wasn't over. Vladimir's chest tightened as the pull of the hunt fought the instinct to run and never look back. The current shifted again, tugging at his boots. He stepped back. In the depths, the shape circled, unseen but undeniable. A pressure wave brushed against the dock, strong enough to rattle loose boards. This was its territory, carved from radiation and blood. And here, he was uninvited, unwanted, and standing one mistake away from vanishing like all the others before him. Wind hissed through the rusting cranes along the far bank. A heron shrieked overhead, then silence, as if cut short. Vladimir knew that sound. Something had taken it mid-flight. The beast fed without boundaries. Land, water, it didn't matter. Tonight, its hunger felt different, deeper, and he realized with a shiver, it might not be food it wanted from him at all. The water bulged beneath the dock. His balance faltered. For a heartbeat, he felt something brush his boots, soft, wet, alive. Lips tasting. He lurched back, the boards groaning under his weight. The catfish slid away again, this time slow, like a predator savoring the rising panic of its prey. Vladimir's mouth was dry, his breath sharp and shallow in the frozen air. The truth hit him like ice. The zone hadn't just made a monster, it had created a killer that hunted for sport. And here he stood, alone in the open. No one would hear the splash if he fell in. The catfish was patient. It would wait. It always waited. Every man made a mistake eventually, and when he did, it would be there, jaws wide. Vladimir backed away from the edge. The river lay calm, glassy, innocent. But he knew, down there, beyond sight, two burning eyes followed him. When he returned, and he would, the Chernobyl catfish would still be waiting. Patient, silent, ready to drag him into the black, where the water never gives back what it takes, and screams vanish before they even leave your throat. Night fell over the silent waters, and the Geiger counter crackled softly. Beneath the surface, something massive stirred. Its shadow stretched longer than a boat. Survivors whispered about eyes that glowed like molten metal in the dark. The catfish was no longer hunting for food, it was hunting for revenge. Fishermen spoke of hooks bending like twigs, of nets shredded in seconds. This was no ordinary predator, it was a relic of a poison era. Its flesh twisted by radiation. It learned human patterns, stalking from beneath, waiting for the moment to strike with silent fury. They said the catfish dragged a full-grown man under in a single pull, vanishing into depths where the reactor's ghost still lingered. Those who tried to rescue him found only a floating boot and ripples that faded too quickly. Its skin was thick, scarred, and covered in pale patches where radiation burned. Some claimed it had no fear of boats, it would ram them, testing the wood before circling back to strike. Every sound in the water was answered by a slow, deliberate movement. The locals stopped fishing entirely. They said the river belonged to the beast now. The silence of the water was worse than its roar. It was a warning, and those who ignored it rarely came back to tell their story. One night, a storm rolled over the exclusion zone. Lightning split the sky, revealing for a second the monster breaching the surface, its mouth wide enough to swallow a man whole. Then, darkness returned, and the rain hid everything. The legend of the Chernobyl man-eater grew, fed by every missing fisherman, every ripple without a cause. And somewhere, beneath the toxic waters, it waits, older, hungrier, and patient enough to outlive us all.